Hey there, if you're ready to take your mobile notary and loan signing business to the next level, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Sign and Thrive podcast with Bill Soroka, that's me, and friends. Let's go and get it.
Go and get it. Go and get it. You won't go and get it while the night is young.
Hey everyone, as you're going out and getting it, remember that time is money. If you want to save 15 minutes per appointment and still stay in compliance and best practice standards for your notary journal, check out the Notary e-Journal by Jurat Inc. It's designed to help improve your workflow and efficiency, and it allows you to capture signatures and fingerprints digitally right on your phone or tablet. This is the journal of the future. If you're ready to save time, money, and wow your customers, try the Notary e-Journal for just $1 at notarycoach.com/e-journal. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Sign and Thrive podcast for notaries. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Selecia Young Jones, a Florida notary and beyond. Selecia, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you, Bill. It's a real pleasure. Thank you so much for asking.
I'm glad you're here. I love being a part of your journey. I love what you've created with your business, and I want to really talk about three main points that stand out in the business that you've created over there. The first is the network that you're building with collaborative notaries throughout not just Florida, but through the entire country now, right? You're really expanding.
I am expanding.
Then I want to talk about your experience with remote online notarization, in particular, how you're tapping into the expat communities. I think that's really powerful. And three, your wedding officiant business and the particular market that you've tapped into with a physical location. How's that sound?
Perfect.
All right, good. Well, let's start with your origin story.
Okay.
Like, how the heck did you decide to become a mobile notary and loan signing agent in Florida?
Well, I can't even tell you what it was, but I mean, it was something was tugging on me, like that tug on your sleeve. Get your notary, get your notary, get your notary. I mean, like for the last 10 years or so. And I didn't really know anybody that was a notary, or maybe somebody at the bank or whatever, but there was just like this little voice in the back of my mind. So, I mean, I would ask people that I knew were notaries and like, well, how do you do it? And what do you have to do? And who do you have to be? And so finally, between Christmas and New Year's of 2017, I finally just did a Google search myself and said, well, I'm just going to do it. And I don't know why. So I went online, took the test and got the commission started, paid your little insurance and got your bond thing going with just a little Florida notary something or another. I didn't even know the NNA existed. And so I started. And so then, like a week or so later, my commission comes in the mail and I just made a simple Facebook post. Hey, I got my notary commission in Florida. Well, it was like a machine gun going off. Pew, pew, pew. Oh, we need a notary. Oh, we always need a notary. Oh, we got married by a notary. Oh, my son's getting married. Would you marry my son? And I realized immediately that this was a thing. I didn't really even know it was a thing, but it's a thing. So I had to immediately think of, okay, market this thing, make it go. I am a gay woman. I'm a lesbian woman. So I always want to, play to who you know, play to the audience you know. So I was like, okay, rainbow, LGBT, what are we going to do? Okay, let's go with rainbow. Rainbow's pretty across the board. People love the rainbow. Rainbow what? Rainbow notary. Well, that's probably already taken, and it was. But my mother was an English teacher, so notary and nuptials. I love the alliteration. So Rainbow Notary Nuptials was created. And I just, started out because I didn't even know what I was doing. I did a little Facebook page, Rainbow Notary Nuptials, and things just started to actually percolate. I mean, things just started to go. I went on the Sunbiz, the Florida, doing business as, and learned that I had to, because obviously I'm not doing business as Selecia Jones Notary. I'm doing business as Rainbow Notary and Nuptials. So that was another thing that I learned that I had to do. was to create a DBA, doing business as. And, everything's just sort of come to me as I've gone on. And then I just kept going and growing. And I was standing in church one day after church, and my friend Beth says, well, if you ever get double booked on any of these weddings, just let me know, because I used to do a ton of these when I was in South Florida. I'm a notary, And I said, I didn't know that. And another Beth, who was standing right behind her, said, hey, I'm a notary too. I said, well, I'll just create an entire network of notaries and we'll just marry everyone under the rainbow. We'll just cover Florida. Well, be careful what you ask for, because these things do, thoughts are things. And, it has come to fruition. That's exactly what happened. Shortly thereafter, a friend of mine was retiring down towards Tampa. And she said, hey, I can be a notary. And so she got her commission. And then I had a friend in Orlando. And then instead of just letting it sort of organically happen, then I started going after people and finding the right people and creating a network of people who, were like-minded, like thoughts, were professional, someone I could count on, someone I could depend on. And it's really funny because, like, for the first 6 or 7, we were all Episcopalians. I thought it was the Episcopal network, but now it's everybody. Now it's across the board.
Well, I love so many different components of your story, and I think what you've just demonstrated with the growing of this network is something happens when you're out in the arena doing the work. When you put yourself out there, when you start telling people what it is that you do, you get out and do the work. You start colliding with people and opportunities that get interesting. Exactly what you did, right? I mean, to find 2 Beths at church that just happened to be notaries, that's crazy. So, but then you got intentional about it. You said, okay, I like this. I like these opportunities I'm colliding with. How can I create more of those? How can I get more intentional and invite more of this work in? How can I find more notaries that are in alignment with my values and can deliver customer service? And I would imagine, Selecia, that's pretty difficult to do, is finding people who are in alignment and who will deliver up to your standards. How has that journey been in building your network?
Well, the truth is that anybody who's age 16 can get a driver's license. Okay. But not everybody can take a NASCAR around. Not everybody can drive Monte Carlo. Anybody that's 18 and over can get a notary commission. But how do you become a NASCAR driver? How do you become a Grand Prix driver? How do you become that best notary? And that's where I found you. That's where I found you and Carol Ray and Laura Bewer, because I would go out and I'd look and I would, Google, and I would search and I'd go watch these little different, webinars here and there. And then out of the blue, just searching, I found you guys. And then I realized that I had struck gold because I found the same people with the same kinds of ideas and the same kind of structure in their lives and the same kind of foundation that I have. And so, I've said, after I finally met you guys in person, 3 or 4 years later, that I'm happy to be in your orbit. And I really am, because you're right. You got to find people that are in your realm, in your same ideology. And, that's what I have found being a part of, the Sign and Thrive community.
Awesome. I appreciate that. And I'm so glad that we are in each other's orbit. I love watching what you're doing too. And I'm so glad that we got to meet in person recently. I'm curious though. I know that this idea of collaboration in our particular community is popular. Like, people want to collaborate. That might just be a human drive, right? We want to collaborate. We want to build a network of people that we can count on, that we enjoy working with. And then sometimes we get slapped in the face with a negative experience and it shuts people down. So I'm really curious how I'm sure it's been a bumpy road, even though I know some of the people in your network are amazing. But how does that conversation actually happen? Like, what's the framework for finding people at your level and then letting them go when they don't fit?
Well, I have had to let somebody go. And finding them. The other thing, kind of like in the beginning when I realized I didn't even know what I was doing. I was smart enough to know that I didn't know what I was doing. Jacksonville, Florida is way up here on the north side. We're touch Georgia. And I thought, well, you don't want to be in direct competition with someone. So I said, well, let me do a Google search, Tampa. So I found this guy, Herb Gwinnett. And he's been a notary for 30 years. And, I thought, well, he's far enough away. I'm not in any kind of competition with him. And let me call him and ask him if he can help me, kind of a mentor kind of thing or whatever. And, instead of saying, giving me the WC feels, get out of here, kids, you're bothering me, which he brushes most people off that exact way. For some reason, I struck his soft side and he took me under his wing and gave me all of the things to do. He set me in the right path. First thing he told me to do was join the NNA. I didn't even know what an NNA was. Okay. Join the National Notary Association. So once I did that, that's a whole nother thing. And people say, oh, they're just in it for the money, or they're just, honey, you know what? I don't know what they are, but I tell you what, they help me. And now that I've been to an actual convention or conference, I see all of the things they do. And, that really got me going right, was with Herb. Finding the right people, boy, that is the tough part. I sure don't know everything. And I have to count on the other folks. What I don't know, maybe they know, and what she doesn't know, maybe he knows. And collaboratively, we'll all, come up with, the best right answer. And I did have one notary that was just, I'm pretty obstinate, so I can use the word obstinate, who was just, we were all sitting I do a little rainbow wrap up every Tuesday night with everyone. And it's sort of like a little baby TNT. Where we, get together, talk about what's happened, share our experiences and our wins and losses. And, guess what happened to me this week? Was just, she was just continually saying that we were doing it wrong. And then, when 10 of us are saying, no, we're not, I just had to say, I'm sorry, this isn't a good fit.
Yeah.
And
there doesn't have to be any judgment or shame with it. It's just not a good fit with the organization. So
not a good fit.
Do you find that you count on personal referrals when you're you're part of Sign and Thrive, NBB, these kind of continuing education or higher striving notaries? Do you rely on that network and referrals within it? Or are you more a gut instinct kind of person?
Some of it's gut instinct. Some of it I, watch on Facebook. I watch people's comments. Are they helpful? Are they snarky? Are they funny? Are they intelligent? And I will say, like I said, my mother's an English teacher. Can they use the English language properly? Because whether you can or can't is one thing, but people judge you for how you speak. If you can't construct a sentence, they're thinking you're not very smart. Now, not to say that everybody that doesn't speak the Queen's English is stupid. It would be foolish. But when you're in a business setting, people are looking for people who know how to speak. So
I'm so glad that you brought this up, because I think part of the challenge that we have is that social media makes interaction so easy. And sometimes we say off the cuff comments, or sometimes we get so tired of the same questions that we get jaded and it comes out, or maybe we're just cranky or hangry. But the important thing is that those comments made, whether they're snarky or loving, last forever. And they make an impact on people. And I love that here's an example of you as a business owner looking for collaborators around the country. And you do make judgment calls based on those interactions. And you're not the only one. There's title and escrow officers that do the same. They get in those groups. They can see it happening. So it's really important to monitor yourself and keep track. Be kind is what it comes down.
If you write it on a piece of paper, you can burn it, and that's the end of it. But if you type it on the internet, it will be there, as far as we know, until the end of time.
Yeah, so true.
And just remember, Never write or say anything. Never write anything that you do not want read in open court. That's just my little tip for you.
That's great. I love that. And that's a good rule of thumb. Now, I know that you're building this network, but tell me how your network works. How do you support other notaries, and how do they support your network? What is it that you do?
Well, what I've done, and so I said, well, do you keep up with who made so many calls or who's made so many notarizations, or do you get a piece of that or whatever? It's like, nope. And I don't care if you do 10 notarizations today or if you do 1,000 this month. What I'm there is to build you up. I've learned about the internet. I've learned about Google. I've learned about that whole realm of, casting your bread upon the waters. And so I have a great website. And so to be a part of the Team Rainbow, you get a place on the website. You get, as a notary, as a wedding officiant, as a RON, remote online notary. And so on that page, you get your picture, you get a link to your own personal business. So it's sort of like a little backlink work, me helping you, you helping me. And, you get your own, WhatsApp number up there, your own LinkedIn up there, all of your stuff. So it's so that when somebody looks on there and says, oh, hey, there's Michelle in Miami. Oh, yeah. I'm going to call Michelle. And so, I think it's a reasonable amount. It's $25 a month to be part of the network. And, I hope that people believe that they're getting value for being there and being a part of the network.
Yeah. And then in exchange for that, I love how you kind of glanced over it, but you've learned a little bit about Google and search engine optimization, but you've really gone in deep with that, really to drive business and leads onto your website. And then you help distribute that to your network.
Right. I mean, once you learn about the Google and the Google My Business, well, they call it Google Business Profile now, but once you catch on, and believe me, I caught on the hard way. Like I said, the best education you'll ever get is through your pocketbook. And I spent a lot of bad money. Not all money is good. I spent a lot of my good money on bad things, like paying thousands of dollars to get citations when I find out now you can go on Fiverr and get 200 of them for $35.
Wow.
Yeah. Things like that. And so when these people come into the network, especially new people, when I say new notaries even, I say, don't do this. And no, they're not creating a special book for the so-and-so golf community distributed to so-and-so, and you're their number one. No, don't do that either. I mean, that's part of that I think is a value to being a part of the network, is that hopefully I'm going to keep you out of some of these scams because, hey, I've already done it. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Well, yeah.
School on me. So, hey.
And I think that's one of the best features of having a mentor is they shine a light back and say, hey, watch out for that rock. Look out. Take this path around this, because you don't want to fall into that swamp. I did that. Don't do that. Learn from my mistakes. That's the great value of a mentor.
And the truth is, I want them to all look like the Lone Ranger. I want them to all look like the hero. But the truth is, Tonto is the guy. He was the scout that was saying, look out, Kemosabe.
Yeah. That's one of the things that you say a lot, too, is that we're the white hats.
I do.
As notaries.
I do.
What do you mean by that?
Well, just white hat, black hat, spy versus spy, good guy, bad guy. And we are the white hats in the room. And once you realize that, not everyone who comes to you for notarization is a good guy. And not all of everyone's intentions are good and legal and honest. And so we have to be there to remember that, we're there for the principal signer. Sometimes, especially in a power of attorney, you might have an older adult or a vulnerable adult or somebody who might not be just as swift. And you might have somebody that's trying to get over on somebody. We have some quick claim deeds. So we are the good guys in the room. We're the hall monitor. We're the white hats in the room, and we are the good guys.
What do you do to protect that integrity? What have you done personally to protect that integrity and just becoming either are you studying your laws more so you know what you can do and you can't do, or what? How do you handle this?
I think some of this may just be that internal gut. Am I doing the right thing? Let me just wad this piece of paper up and throw it out of the car. Who's gonna see it?
Mm.
They'll have somebody pick it up. Does that make you feel good if you do that? I mean, if you do something bad, do you feel it? I mean, I do. I mean, it's just it is my nature. And no, you can look in my car and say, no, she doesn't throw anything out. But it is, I think you will find how your will is aligned with what's correct. And the truth is, don't push the river. It will flow by itself. And if you're doing the right thing, it really will be easier.
Is there any extra training that you've taken in Florida in particular to help you understand what those boundaries are, what the boundaries of the river are, and what you can and cannot do?
What do you mean?
Well, what extra steps do you take to understand? I mean, do you study your state statutes? Do you reference your state statutes? Where do you go to figure this stuff out? Because it's not always clear as a notary, for sure.
Oh, it's clear as mud. It's 100% clear. You just have to keep reading. You have to read. You have to watch these webinars. You have to just look, go watch other people, and like I said, I rely on, the things we learn on TNT, the things we are learning with Notary Business Builders, those sorts of things, even Clubhouse, I a little bit of Clubhouse. You got to be careful with Facebook, though, because people don't always give the right answer. And, it's always worth double checking if I don't know something. I mean, even recently I would, I try to answer it like how would Bill Soroka answer this? Or how would Laura Beaver answer this? Like, does this have all the correct notarial block? Is this the notarial block that you need for this page? I mean, does this look right to you? I mean, instead of saying, hey, dummy, there's not even a venue on here. So I have to back it up a little bit and be a little kinder. And then one girl said, what's a notarial block? And it's like, okay, let's go back to 101. Because here's what part of the problem with being a notary. And I know Louisiana really puts you through the paces. I mean, they really, really train you well for over there. And I know California is pretty good. But the truth is, just anybody can get that driver's license. Yeah. And anybody can get that notary commission. And what sets you off from anybody else?
That's huge, because the bar is pretty low to enter the industry, but this work is so important that you have to take it on yourself to learn how to do it, because the states don't always provide that training. You have to go above and beyond in the education piece to figure it out and to do it right, because people are relying on you.
Right as I had first started being a notary, like kind of in the very beginning, I was still doing a little driving for a black car service. And I was driving an attorney, their client, his secretary, down to a place to go do a deposition, because apparently somebody had notarized something for the deceased, and things were not quite right. And, the woman saying he would have never signed this. And, I really don't know how it turned out, but I just said, go after the notary. Go after the notary, because, I have to, as a notary, I have to make sure that Mrs. Johnson is of, somewhat sound. Mrs. Johnson can tell me what day it is and what's her birthday and where we are and what we're doing. But if Miss Johnson can't tell me any of those things, Miss Johnson shouldn't be signed. And, I hear this, they wanted me to do so-and-so. And, I thought it was okay. Goes back to that White House.
How do you, in particular, find the courage to say no? Because I know a lot of notaries, they're afraid of confrontation. They're afraid of not being liked or just causing a rift here. But you've been faced with some weird situations. How do you find the courage to say no?
Well, sometimes I play with a little bit of humor and I say, now, you don't want them to call the notary police on me, do you? No, we cannot. No, we do not want the notary police on Selecia, which, in reality, that would be the Secretary of State, but they don't need to know that and whatever. But, you can kind of, do it with a little bit of humor and say, the notary police will come after me. And I just can't do
That's
that.
a unique approach. I've never even thought of that myself. I like that. It's drawing a line, but it's also not too in your face or accusatory, right?
Right. Yeah. I can't, the notary
Yeah.
police will come after me.
All right. Excellent. So let's move into, it's a similar realm too, because I know for your remote online notarization, Ron is legal in the state of Florida. Your particular niche, though, or one of the niches that you've created with this, is the expatriate community, or known as an expat community across the world, in Mexico in particular, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So what is that? I asked the guy well, why do you rob banks? Because that's where they keep the money. So why do I go to Mexico? Because it's the largest expat community in the world. You say, well, why go after the expats, Selecia? My sister actually happens to live in the lakeside area, Ajijic, just south of Guadalajara. And it's a huge expat community. And so even though you might not live in the United States anymore, you still have business in the United States. You still have your Bank of America 401k. You still have your Schwab account. You still have a house to sell in Oregon. You've still got your kids' account that's in Illinois, or whatever it is, you still have, some connection to the U.S. So I've been going down there for 20 years plus. And so I know a ton of people down there. I mean, I can give you directions of how to get to where and where and where. I mean, I'm on a lot of the groups down there in Facebook. And so that was, where I started doing the Ron thing.
How's it working out?
Good. Of course, with remote online notary, convincing people in the first place that it's legal is a hurdle enough to handle. This thing started about 2010 in Virginia, and the pandemic was coming along, and I remember talking with my friend Herb in 2019, and I was like, I don't know about this. It's just like I don't know about doing Rons. It's just like I'm just too personable. I like live and in person stuff, and then of course along comes COVID-19 in 2020. And that changed the landscape of everything. And then when you realize that you could notarize for somebody across the street or around the world, and it just really escalated, even to the point where many states did some emergency stuff, which has since been pulled back. And now, I love doing Rons. I trust it. I believe in it. I think it's secure. And I just think it's just so accessible.
I love that you love it so much, and you've built a business around this. How do you get more customers?
Of course, the Google thing. The Google thing helps. Having your website optimized, having your Google business pages optimized. But I advertise in expat newspapers. I advertise in expat Facebook groups. I advertise. That's what I do. I mean, actually buy advertisements.
Brilliant.
In their directories or.
And it sounds like too, you're getting dialed in now. It just so happens that your sister lives in an expat community. You're used to going down there, so you have some knowledge of that. But people could do this without that level of sure. Intimate knowledge, right? You could pick one out in Spain or Greece or Italy or wherever you want a community and get into the Facebook expat communities and add value. Participate in the conversations, add value, right?
Yeah. Preach what you know. That's it.
I love it. So there's the other unique feature that you bring to the industry that I absolutely love and I'm so intrigued about, and I can't wait to visit it, is your wedding location, your venue. Well, how did this happen?
When you're a notary in Florida, South Carolina, and Maine, and a couple more have been added, you're automatically a wedding officiant. So by the power vested in me, by the virtue of the laws of the state of Florida, it is my honor, privilege, and delight. And you have that power. And so I've been doing the weddings. And a friend of mine has a little cafe across the street from the Duval County Courthouse. And there had been a different guy in there, and they parted ways. And she sent me a little Facebook message and said, hey, did you want to come in here as the way this, for a little wedding chapel deal? So I said, yes, and jumped right on it. And of course, I I've never done anything like this before in my life. But I dove in, and since I'm already Rainbow Notary Nuptials Network, we're now the Rainbow Wedding Chapel. So I've got this little, setup, and I'm right across the street from the Duval County Courthouse, and I've got a little, I give them a little, certificate, a little, color certificate. Let's see, everybody else can't see us, but you can. So they get a little certificate.
Oh, beautiful.
And, a little gold seal and everything. And I do photographs, and I do 2 little separate backgrounds. I've got a beach background, and I have a garden background. So you can come to the, and you never get wet. You never worry about your hair.
That's so awesome. Now you, carved out a particular niche for the type of wedding ceremony that you deliver too, right?
Well, it's a $100 wedding ceremony. You get the photos, you get the ceremony, you get the certificate, and you get married.
$100, no nonsense, but lots of fun. I absolutely love that.
And, sometimes we marry people in flip-flops and T-shirts and tennis shoes, and sometimes they're in evening gowns. Sometimes they're in beautiful saris and fabulous attire. I had an Indian wedding one time. And even in my little saying that I always like, sometimes it'll be, mom and dad are coming with the girl and the young guy or whatever. And I say to dad, well, I just saved you $30,000, Dad. And he says, yes, you did. Thanks. And that's usually just sort of a line that I say, oh, I just saved you $30,000. And then I said that to one of my couples that I married recently, and they had actually had their wedding celebration, and they were an Indian couple down in Orlando. But of course, wasn't the legal part. That's the part we do if we make it legal. And she said, oh no, Selecia, it was $300,000.
Oh my gosh.
But they were still coming to me for their $100 make it legal wedding.
Wow. That's pretty incredible. Now, what advice do you have to Florida notaries, or even notaries in any state? Because in any state,
yes,
with a little extra steps, you can be a wedding officiant. But a lot of the time I find notaries overthink it, or they're afraid of it. What advice do you have?
Well, being a wedding officiant is a ton of fun, because let's face it, that's some good loving stuff. And you get to meet the people. You get to hear a little bit about them. You get to hear about their lives. I like to make it personable and personal. When you create their vows, and, what are you wearing? What are your colors? Well, who all's going to be there? Well, is it moms and dads, brothers and sisters, and you engage the person, of what, because here's the truth. This is a very special moment in their lives. Anytime you need a notary, it's very special. Anytime you need a wedding officiant, this is one of the most special moments in someone's life. And I don't care whether you are in T-shirts and tennis shoes, or if you're in tuxedos and diamonds and rhinestones and evening gowns. This is it. You're the prince, the princess. This is your day. This is your moment. You're marrying the person you love, and you deserve to be treated with the utmost, highest respect and dignity in this very special moment.
That's the kind of respect for the role that you play, I think, that we all need. I love hearing that. And I love that you've tapped into this. About how long is your average ceremony?
Well, it's really funny. I have a couple of them, because some people don't want to go through all the, I call it rigmarole. It really takes about 10 to 12 minutes to do a proper ceremony. I say proper with rings and, a couple of nice little words. But I also have crafted one called Married in a Minute. And Married in a Minute does all of the, like our notarial acts, all of those things that have to be in there. Well, I do all of those things in a minute that have to be in there to make it legal. So Married in a Minute, or 10 or 12 minutes.
That is, I love that you offer the flexibility that your customers want. Now, not recently, and I'm trying to remember what day that was. Was it May 4th? Or was it February 22nd?
Yeah, May the 4th, Star Wars Day.
You had a Star Wars wedding.
I had a Star Wars wedding at the Kennedy Space Center. It was amazing, with, Boba Fett, with stormtroopers, with, I mean, I'm getting tingly skin just thinking about it. I'm just getting tingles, because it was magical. It really was.
I love seeing your pictures from that. And that's, again, just another demonstration of being a part of somebody's really special day. Now, I think it was February 22nd, 2022, the numbers
Yes.
day. You did an insane amount of weddings that day, right?
22 plus 2, 24 weddings that day.
24 weddings in one day.
And it wasn't just me. I had two others helping me. Glenn helped me. Siobhan helped me. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an easy date to remember, so I can understand why so many people were trying to get married that day.
Yeah, they do. And people are funny about it. They love those numbers. They love those numbers. It wasn't, 214 was a little bit of a letdown. I think it was only like 8 or. And then out of the blue, like one day, like May the 3rd or something, out of the blue, I had 9 walk-ins one day. No reason.
Let's talk about your physical location. I know this is a question for on the minds of a lot of notaries, but what's the upsides and the downsides to having a physical location?
Having the upsides and downsides of having a physical location are, well, you're there, and because you're walk-in, and of course you have reservations, of course, as well, and you're just there. But you're in a downtown setting. Sometimes things can get a little interesting downtown. You have some interesting characters. We're right across the street from the courthouse. Sometimes there's a couple of parades, or sometimes there's a couple of protests. You never know which. But being there is really, I think, more plus than minus. Just for an idea, if you can find a little storefront, a little something like I've got where I'm in with another business, I can kind of recommend that as a way to go and serve your community, because now I can do on-site notary work. I know that's always a big question about, why won't people come to my house?
Yeah. That was going to be my next question. So you, at this facility, you can do notary, you can do weddings, and then do you operate your remote online notarizations from that location as well?
You better believe it.
I love it.
I've got my little headset and it goes on, and I've got my little computer, and there I go.
Selecia, this has been awesome talking with you, and I love just being a part of your journey. Like I said in the very beginning, I think you're on your way to doing some huge things for our notary community, and I can't wait to see how Rainbow Notary and Nuptials starts growing beyond the borders of Florida. Has it already?
Well, I did talk with Judy Lawrence when we were at the NNA.
Yeah.
She says, I'm going to be your wedding officiant in Philly. And so the opportunity is there because I think the branding is there. I actually had a couple come in right before we did this, and I was at the chapel, and actually Siobhan's there for me this afternoon so that I can do this. And, even though we are the Rainbow, it's really funny. It's like, do you only marry gay couples? And it's like, no, we marry everyone with a valid marriage license, boys and boys, girls and girls, boys and girls, tall people, old people, short people, black people, white people, Asian people, all people with a valid marriage license is who we marry. And I will say this one thing. This is 2022. And even today, it hasn't been in a while, but last year, I still get calls. Well, my fiance is black and I'm white. Is that going to be okay? Because we've had 3 people say no. It breaks my heart that, people do this. Yeah. If you have a legal valid marriage license, I will marry you.
I love that. Weddings with an open heart, open mind.
Marrying everyone under the rainbow.
Marrying everybody under the rainbow, Selecia. Such an inspiration. As we close out, I wonder what advice you have for a notary right now in this market, right? Things have shifted. The loan signings especially have plummeted. Right. Yeah. What is it?
The cream rises to the top. The people that are studying, the people that are looking, the people that are working on their Google My Business page, the people that are taking extra classes, the people that are expanding, the people that are doing Apostille, the people that are doing anything. But when you stop and think about it, God, I wish there were 40 hours in a day. When I think of all of the people who need notary, it's enormous. And all of that, easy catching of the loan signing and whatever, and I'm going to get 175 10 times a day. And I said, Okay, great. Good for you. But if that dries up, what are you going to do? Okay. You need to be able to do something different. You need to be able to do weddings. You need to be able to do property inspections. You need to be able to go take pictures for somebody that wants to do something, But why do they come to a notary? You know why they come to a notary? Because they know you're honest. They know you know what you're doing. They know you're reliable and dependable. And like I said, anybody can get a driver's license at 16, but not everybody can drive around that race car track at 215 miles an hour. Make yourself be that person that can grab that wheel and go. And you're going to do that by taking extra classes, watching every webinar you can, learn from Bill, learn from, the Mark Wills, learn from the Lauras, do those state specific things. Make yourself the expert, make yourself the entity, make yourself the go-to. That's what's going to separate the steering wheel holders from the real drivers.
That is excellent advice. I love that you talked about our credentials. We're credentialed professionals. So within our industry and beyond, people look to us in a position of trust. And I think what I would add to your excellent advice is then to also protect yourself from the naysayers, especially in some of the Facebook groups right now. You might have to remove yourself from them. You have to keep your blinders unfollow. Look, there's a lot of scared people in the marketplace right now. And when people act from fear, they tend to catastrophize everything else that's going on. But guys, I have talked to notaries that have had their best months ever without it having a single loan signing in the month, because they got serious about specialty notary work. They got serious about their search engine optimization and Google Business Profile and started cultivating relationships.
Riches are in the niches, and that's Laura Beaver right there. And it's out there. I mean, I did a general notary job yesterday at a location that I didn't even know it existed. Somebody from Georgia had contacted me. So there you go. That lets me know that somebody from Atlanta, Georgia did a Google search and they called me, good sign, to go take care of their documents. Let me just say this one thing. Anytime anybody, anywhere needs a notary, this is the truth. It is a life-changing event for them. And people don't realize, they think, I just need this sign. No. Anytime anyone needs a notary, it is a life-changing event for them. Yesterday, the sister had died, and the mother, actually grandmother, was giving permission for the other sister to adopt the child. Don't tell me that's not a life-changing event.
Yeah.
Even if you buy a boat, sell a boat. Buy a car, sell a car. Buy a house, sell a car. All of it. When you need a notary, if you're to the point where you need a notary for any kind of thing, it is a life-changing event. Wills, power of attorneys. And I think people want to minimize what we are and what we do. But that is the truth.
That is so true. You got to have a reverence for this role that we play, because we meet people on their best day, but very oftentimes it can be on their worst day. And it ultimately changes their lives, or the course of their lives, for sure. Mm-hmm. Selecia, thank you so much for joining me and sharing so much of your wisdom to the notary community. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it, Bill. And if anybody, wants to reach out to me, ask me any questions, I am always open and just more than happy to help someone.
Thank you so much. And of course, I'll put the link to your website down below. I believe it is rainbownotary-nuptials.com. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And guys, if you want to check out a chatbot in action, because Selecia blazing the trail again, she has a chatbot that helps answer customer questions on her website. It's super cool. Selecia, thank you so much for being here.
Man, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Sign and Thrive podcast for notaries, brought to you by the Notary e-Journal. Notaries that are diligent about compliance and committed to customer service are loving this journal. Here's what Danielle has to say.
Hi, I'm I'm Danielle, a notary signing agent in California, exclusively using Notary eJournal since August 2020. My favorite features are those that make the process more efficient while remaining diligent about compliance. Scanning the information off the signer's ID ensures accuracy. Commonly notarized documents are preloaded and searchable, which speeds along the process and allows me to focus on compliance and service without sacrificing record keeping. The Notary eJournal has enhanced my productivity and allowed me to provide better service.
Did you catch that? Commonly used document titles are preloaded and searchable. It's another awesome feature that helps notaries be more efficient at the signing table, especially when you're handling mortgage loan or estate planning packages. Check out some of those preloaded documents in the Notary eJournal for yourself. Try it for just $1 at notarycoach.com/eJournal.